Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from the UK. Today is Friday, the 2nd of May 2025. Let's get into all the chit chat later because it is really warm and I am wearing my FO and I won't be able to tolerate that for very long. But I did want to show you I finished my Olga sweater, which is a pattern by Petite Knit. I made it with 4 colors. Regularly, I think it is made with 2 colors only. It is a drop shoulder design with this really cool sort of short row construction for the back, which I honestly really enjoyed. And yeah, it is done. As you can tell, it has quite a lot of positive ease, which is lovely. I think it's it fits really well. I really like it. I made full-length sleeves. I made them a bit more fitted just because that's the sort of sleeve I like. I don't like them to be super loose. I made a long rib. I think I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stripes of 1x1 ribbing, and I blocked it yesterday because it was like 28 degrees, so it dried within like an hour, which is great. And yeah, I'll take it off and then I'll talk about it more. Right, I've also taken the time to let the bin collection pass, so hopefully that wasn't too annoying for you guys to listen to. Yeah, I've taken off my sweater because, like I say, it is still really warm here in the UK. So this is the sweater, and you can see it is quite large, which is great. It makes it really roomy, and I think actually this will be so cozy for autumn. Yes, I'm already thinking about autumn. And the yarn that I used is this yarn, which is a Rauwerk, which is a German yarn. I remember when this came out years and years ago, the owner of the company, Christina, also has a yarn shop in Munich. I presume it still exists. I don't actually know. But I used to go to a couple of their events and it was always really nice. And I remember her samples always felt so nice, whereas the yarn itself, I like it, but it just feels pretty, do I want to say rustic? I don't know. But the transformation that this yarn makes after blocking it, like washing and blocking it, is just so beautiful. And yeah, it's just all of a sudden it becomes like fluffy and drapey, and it's still a non-superwash yarn. It's a German merino, which, if you don't know, they are not like the Australian merinos. Like, it's not an inherently soft yarn. It's quite tough, but I really like it. And yeah, this is the sport weight version of this yarn, so it has about 300 meters per 100 grams, although I feel like this almost, in terms of the feel and the gauge that I got with it, it leans a bit more DK, but that may just be me. I had 100 grams of each color, and I just sort of hoped for the best, and I was a little bit worried, but as you can tell, I had enough yarn for full-length sleeves. I knit the sweater on 3.25 millimeter needles and 3 millimeter needles for the rib. And you can see this sort of construction for the back I thought was really neat. It's all done with short rows, and I quite enjoyed the way the pattern was written. So yeah, that sweater is done, and that's basically most of what I worked on this week, I will say. I just sort of sped through the body, through the first sleeve, and then on the second sleeve I kept making mistakes, which was really annoying. So I would mess up the stripe order, or I'd switch colors in the wrong spot, and so I kept having to rib back, and I just so wanted to be done with that garment. It was a little bit painful, but I made it. We made it. It's all done, and I'm really happy with it. Obviously not now. Now is not the time for a sport weight sweater, but the time will come. So yeah, that is where most of my knitting mojo this week went. But I have also worked a little bit on some other projects. Most of all, I have picked up this again. This is my Borough Cowl by Marie Wallen. I got a kit for this as well as the Fettler scarf recently. So this is a colorwork cowl in the original colors. Hang on, let's show it to you properly. I made the modification of starting with a, what do you call it, provisional cast on. So in the end, I can just hopefully graft it together. And isn't it so beautiful? I love it. I love it so much. I think for Marie Wallen's pattern, sometimes it is worth going with the original colors, which in this case, the yarn that she used for this is not her own yarn, but the Jameson Smith. No, it's not. It's Jameson's of Shetland. It's not Jameson and Smith. Sorry about that. I used the original yarn, and this yarn is a bit more affordable than her own yarn, so keep that in mind. But yeah, the colors that she puts together, they just look so beautiful, I think. And yeah, you're supposed to do 4 repeats of this pattern for a sort of single loop cowl. But I already read that some people only did 3 in order to get the right length. And I've done like 2.5, maybe 2 3/4. And I'm not that far off. So I definitely don't think I'll do 3 repeats. Actually, I don't need that much more because I don't want it to be too loose. So I am nearing the end, I think, which is great. When I picked it up again after our holiday, I was somewhere here. So this is how much I've done, mostly in the last sort of 3 days. So I am quite happy with that. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I did make one mistake in terms of the color changes, but it doesn't really matter that much. So I didn't rip back. And I am using these super tiny needles, interchangeable needles in 3mm, which works perfectly to work this in the round. In terms of the colors, like I said, I got the kit from Tangled Yarns, especially this one color, which is Fog. I don't have very much left, so I think it will be enough. It would be enough for the 4 repeats. Obviously, I won't need it anyways, but just something to keep in mind. But some of the colors, I'll have a ton left. So I know I need some of these for the feather scarf as well. So I'm wondering maybe I can even eke part of the scarf out of these leftovers, and then I'll have some extra skeins to do other things with, because I really enjoy this yarn and I should really work with it more, because I made my Lovage sweater also by Mary Wallen out of this yarn. And that is one of my favorite sweaters still. I've worn it for years and years, and it's still, like, it looks beautiful. It doesn't need any detailing. Like, it's just softened up and become so beautiful. So I would like to knit more of this kind of yarn and more of Mary Wallen's patterns in the future. So yeah, that is that. And then just last night, because I'd finished my sweater, I needed something easy to work on rather than a color work chart. So I finally picked these up again. These are my 70s socks by Tina Rhein, who is a German designer. I mentioned these last week. There's a couple of different versions in terms of the color work. Like, there's different options, which is really fun. It is a German pattern, but honestly, you just need the chart to make most of the sock if you know how to construct a sock. So even if you're not a German speaker, I would still recommend it. And like I mentioned last week, I had my needles taken at the airport in Rhodes. But I finally, that was just after the heel, but last night I finally just got some new needles and started knitting on the foot while we were watching a really fun TV show. And yeah, I don't have that much more to go. So I might even try to finish this first sock today. I think I could do that. It's my day off. And then I think the color work last time I just sped through because it's really fun and you want to get through the end of it. So yeah, I think this might be my next sock to sort of focus on. My stripy socks, which I showed you last week as well, I have not worked on that much. I just took them on the train to London this week. But I'm not in a huge sock phase right now. I want to knit garments, I want to knit color work. This is just something I picked up because I needed something simple and I quite enjoyed it. So I might keep going with this one if that's sort of the sock I enjoy most at the moment. And the yarn is Filcolana Weta in colorway 352, which I believe this is the Red Squirrel colorway, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't trust me. And this is a mini that I use for the color work. This is from Indie Yarn Club here in the UK. And I also have a stone from the beach where I cast these on holiday. So there you go. That is basically all of what I've worked on this week. I did maybe 1.5 stripes on my crochet blanket, so I'll leave that for another day. Yeah, I just haven't been, the knitting mojo hasn't been there so much. I think partly because it's been really, really unseasonably hot and I don't enjoy the weather like that. Partly because we've been doing tons and tons of gardening. And yeah, it's just been busy work-wise, life-wise as well. So yeah, hopefully that'll come back. But I do have some yarn to show you. I don't always show acquisitions, but I think I'm just going to show you these because I think they're very fun. As I have mentioned many times, I love JC Rennie yarn. So JC Rennie yarn is like similar to the other sort of British coned yarns that they're non-superwash, they're fingering weight. I'm talking about JC Rennie, super soft. They're sort of similar also to Holes and stuff, but I would say this is the nicest one of them. They're slightly, compared to the Jamiesons of Shetland, these are a little bit finer. They feel finer to me. Loads of people buy them in bowls, but if you buy them in bowls, they come like pre-washed, pre-wound. They're really beautiful, but they're also a little bit more expensive. So I love using JC Rennie cones. And I showed you my Anchors sweater out of a sort of charcoalish color last week, which I wear to death. That is my favorite sweater. So I mentioned, I think, that I got some more JC Rennie on eBay. You can quite regularly actually find JC Rennie yarn on eBay here in the UK. I just try not to buy their unique Shetland yarn, which I don't even think is 100% Shetland. I think it's just like a Shetland type yarn. And that one I find a little bit scratchy, whereas their super soft is beautiful. And yeah, my eBay order arrived. Apologies, I don't know what happened there. My eBay order arrived and this is what I got. I have a couple of, I think I have 2 of these and a couple of these ones, but no point in showing you all of them. This is colorway Putty, which is 221, which is just a really beautiful basic. And I think, again, color work, you need a neutral, you don't need to, but it's handy having a neutral. So I got, I think like 300 grams of something like that of this color. And I got a similar amount of this, which is Bordeaux mix, and this is beautiful. I love this color. So yeah, very excited about these. I do have enough for a sweater in each color, but I also have a fair bit of JC Rennie leftovers, so I could combine them, do things. I mean, Christmas sweater. I do have 2 other colors of JC Rennie upstairs that I'm planning to make a Christmas sweater, and yes, I know I haven't started it still. I was planning to do like a light pink, lilac-y pink, and a olive green, which I still think is a great idea. But then I see these and I'm like, does this need to be a Christmas sweater, like a festive yoke? I don't know. Yeah, decisions. But this Bordeaux color is just so beautiful. So those are my eBay finds, and they were very affordable. And that should have been it in terms of buying yarn. And then last Saturday, we were really productive. We went, among other things, to the charity shop to drop off some toys. And with my son, it's always the same. Like, we, drop off a huge bag of toys that he doesn't need anymore. But then obviously he has to pick something new. And you guys, I fell for the charity shop yarn. I usually don't because a lot of it is acrylics. And I am a bit careful with charity shop yarn because, like, surely there must be all kinds of critters in there. Like, usually I don't trust it. But this time I had to go for it because look. So this is definitely 100% Shetland sort of wool yarn. In fact, I am about 99% sure that this is JC Rennie Super Soft in the Oogie Pearl colorway, because it looks exactly like it. I even looked at stash photos on Ravelry of other people's. My friend Mel is knitting with this color at the moment and she thinks it looks the same. It feels like JC Rennie. I reckon this is JC Rennie, and I got all of this, which is about 300 grams, for £5. So obviously more JC Rennie. I'm not sure if you can even tell on camera. There's a million different colors in this yarn. No, it's not doing it. All right, we're not focusing. I will show you another day. I will figure it out, but it's basically like there's blues and greens and yellows in this yarn, and it looks really, really interesting. And what I think happened with this yarn is I reckon someone bought a cone and washed it, because this, I'm not sure if I can show you, probably not, but this yarn, it feels and looks already much plumper than the cone does. And this is usually what happens once you wash these. So I reckon someone has done all the work for me and then didn't knit with it. So I got a whole new sweater quantity of JC Rennie in this color, which I think this will be a great neutral. Like, it is not just plain gray. It's like a bluish color with loads of undertones. So I think it's interesting, but it can also be a very neutral garment. So yeah, this has been in the freezer. I have rewound one of the balls, partly because that one was in just had fallen apart a bit because people rummaged through charity shops, and also just to sort of see if there were any breaks in the yarn. But honestly, the yarn looks in great condition, so I've frozen it for a couple of days. I might not put it with my other stash because I am paranoid, but I think it's fine. And I am planning to cast on another Anchor sweater very, very, very soon. So I think it might be one of the JC Rennie ones, because that's what I love. So yeah, I got a lot of yarn this week, which I wasn't planning on getting. But if you find a sweater quantity of that kind of yarn for £5, I mean, right? Yeah. So that is basically what I've been doing this week. My hair is crazy. My mind is just like... But it's been a good week. Essentially, I'm just waiting for it to cool down because I do not like the heat. I do not like it at all. But yeah, we've been doing so much gardening, which is really nice. I've done some repotting of indoor plants as well. Yeah, it's just been a lot on all fronts, but nothing to worry about. It's also just getting back into the swing of things after a holiday, which I find really, really tricky. But we are getting there, and luckily we have a bank holiday weekend coming up. So because I have Fridays off, it's like a 4-day weekend, which is great. So we're gonna have like a nice family picnic with some friends tomorrow, just before the weather gets cooler again. And yeah, I'm just planning to knit my little heart out, watch some F1, and yeah, not move very much. So that is my plan. Do let me know what you're working on, because I'm always interested, and you guys always inspire me to cast on all the things, which is a good thing, but also not a good thing. But I'm interested. Do let me know. And otherwise, I think I will be back most likely next week. Until then, I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you are safe and healthy and doing well, and ideally you have some yarn or crafty things, whatever you fancy, to make you happy. So thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.